Yo, what up, guys? It's Derp here with another video about the IronMace Nexon court case. I'm back here with another Dark and Darker video. It's been about a week. I'm sorry for the lack of uploading. Um, yeah, I'm trying to keep these shorter. I had some personal stuff come up and some work stuff come up. But yeah, I'm sorry. It's been a little bit of time. This video is going to be a little bit shorter. And I'm going to go over some common misunderstandings and rumors and stuff that I'm seeing on Reddit. This is a video that I've gotten a lot of requests for on the Discord. Yeah, so here's the stuff I'm going to go over. Can IronMace release Dark and Darker while the case is ongoing? How many cases are there and where are they? When will we get more information? And when can we expect this to all be over with, right? I've been trying to kind of paint this picture with all of my videos and let you guys kind of decide, but a lot of people have been asking me just to kind of make a concise statement about it and just to help clear the air a bit. So that's what I'm doing. A lot of this video is going to be opinion based, and I'm going to have some sources in the description. But yeah, as always, huge thank you to everybody who's been watching, subscribing, leaving comments, leaving supers, people who've been joining the guild on Discord, Patreon, and YouTube memberships. You guys are huge, and I'm gonna put you guys up on the side of the screen, side scroll here. But yeah, let's get to what we came here for. So, right off the bat, can IronMace release Dark and Darker while the case is ongoing? The short answer is yes. IronMace can and most likely will release Dark and Darker while the case is still going on. There's nothing really in place preventing them from releasing the game today, except for the fact that Nexon can and will issue DMCA takedown notices to anybody hosting or distributing the game in the United States. But outside of that, the court has not issued any kind of injunction or restraining order against IronMace from releasing Dark and Darker. There's nothing legally in place against them from releasing today. They just haven't because their lawyers are probably telling them not to. So, and Nexon can still DMCA them, right? So even if they put it up, it might be taken down a week later. So it's kind of in limbo. But yeah, in fact, IronMace has requested injunctive relief, also known as a restraining order, against Nexon in Korea. They have asked the courts to prevent Nexon from issuing DMCAs or interfering with their business, at least until the lawsuits are resolved in full. If granted, Nexon would have to stop interfering with IronMace's business operations until a final resolution of the case came down, or a settlement, or they could get an appeal for that decision. But yeah, if IronMace's injunction request is granted, Nexon basically has to stop sending DMCAs and messing with IronMace's business. The most likely outcome of these injunction hearings is something called a modified injunction. Simply put, this is a combination of both injunction requests, because Nexon has one and IronMace has one. So what a judge will do sometimes is they'll combine both of those requests in a way that prevents further harm to either company or the consumer. And in my opinion, IronMace will probably be given permission to release Dark and Darker under some form of modified injunction after the pretrial hearings in both the Korea and United States. And in this situation, IronMace would basically just have to put aside a large sum of money, like a bond, to cover any legal fees or damages if they end up losing. So Nexon still gets paid even if IronMace loses. IronMace gets to release their game and make money. The consumers still make their game. My thought process on this, I've already explained it in another video, but the thought process is pretty simple, right? The damage has already been done. Dark and Darker has already been released into the public, and people have already played it. So the trade secrets damages and the copyright damages have already been done. The best case scenario for Nexon and IronMace would be for Nexon to recoup any losses that might have incurred from the release of Dark and Darker. If Dark and Darker is shut down, Nexon doesn't get nearly as large of a settlement or nearly as large of a damages, because IronMace doesn't have the money, right? So it just doesn't make sense. So the most likely outcome, in my opinion, is a modified injunction. So The bond would be somewhere in the realm of hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe up to tens of millions. And if IronMace can't cover the bond, then they can't release the game. And they obviously will, because early access would make them a bunch of money. So they'll be able to cover the bond if it comes down to that. And this is a highly common outcome for cases like this. Modified injunctions happen more often than not in cases like this. It just depends on whose favor it leans in. Usually, it leans in either Nexon's favor or IronMace's favor. And I've went over this in another video as well. And I think that this is the most likely outcome. But yeah, for more information about modified injunctions and stuff, I'll have a link to videos in the description. So, how many cases are there, and where are they? So, as of today, there are 3 cases total. There's Nexon versus IronMace in the United States. That's the one that's most talked about. There's IronMace versus Nexon in South Korea. And then there's Nexon versus Mr. Choi in South Korea, but that's a personal criminal case that doesn't really impact Dark and Darker. The 2 cases that will impact the release of Dark and Darker are Nexon versus IronMace in the United States and IronMace versus Nexon in South Korea. So, the case in the U.S. is a copyright and trade secrets case where Nexon is suing IronMace for injunctive relief and damages, and IronMace has countered this in their reply seeking injunctive relief against Nexon. So basically what they're both doing is preventing each other from doing something. Nexon wants to prevent IronMace from releasing Dark and Darker, as well as get paid out money for damages, and then IronMace is asking for injunctive relief to stop IronMace from sending DMCA notices, but I don't think they're asking for any kind of monetary relief in the United States. Now, in the case of IronMace versus Nexon in South Korea, it's actually a business interference and tampering case where IronMace is seeking injunctive relief and damages directly from Nexon. Nexon has then countered in their reply seeking injunctive relief against IronMace. So it's actually IronMace suing kind of the countersuit, right? In Korea. Now, both cases can directly impact the release of Dark and Darker. The U.S. case will only affect the U.S. release of Dark and Darker, as well as their ability to host game on U.S. platforms and distribution channels, so Steam. The case in South Korea will impact their ability to release the game globally, as Nexon and IronMace are both based in Korea. That rule kind of supersedes. That's like the global ruling, right? But yeah, let's move right along into when we're going to get more information. We should know more information about early access and if Dark and Darker can be released soon. But before that, we kind of need to understand when the Korean and United States injunction hearings will be. The Korean case for now is an ongoing third-party There's an ongoing third-party investigation of P3 and Dark and Darker source code, as well as other evidence. They're comparing the two side by side. A third-party investigator is in Korea. And this investigation is supposed to end on or before July 19th, 2023. So 10 days from now, right, as of recording this video. So, however, there's some conflicting information coming out of Korea, and I don't have access to their court document to refute any of these claims. So I'm just kind of going to give a if-then statement, right? So the injunction hearing might be on the same day as the end of the day of the investigation, which would be July 19th, or it might be held on or before 30 days from that date. We don't really know yet. There's conflicting information coming from multiple news articles, and we don't really know the actual day. But we will for sure know what the outcome of that, either if we have to wait 30 days or if there's an official outcome in another 10 days, right? So unless somebody can dig up more recent article that can confirm actual dates, this is the best information that I have. So we might also we might know more about the injunction, or even see early access in as little as 10 days, at least out of Korea, right? So it all really depends on whether the Korean injunction hearing happens on the 19th or not. If not, then we might have to wait until around August 20th for more information out of Korea. Now, the U.S. case is a lot more clear, as seen in the case timeline video that I posted a few days ago. So my last video, the U.S. pretrial hearing happens on July 26th. That's of this year. So July 26th, 2023. which is about 2 weeks from the date of this video. So that's when we'll have more information about the U.S. case dismissal, the injunction, possibly even early access in the United States. But we probably won't get too many more updates outside of videos until then. So that kind of clears up the timeline of when we're going to get more information out of Korea and the United States. But how long can we really realistically assume that this case will last? I see a lot of people, especially doomers, saying that this is going to last forever, 2 or 3 years. You know, there's jokes being made that we're not going to see the game until 2027, like all this kind of stuff. Don't listen to the doomers. They don't know what they're talking about. And anybody who realistically thinks that this case is going to take, a year or longer is either intentionally misleading you or doesn't really know what they're talking about, at least in my opinion. Because in my opinion, we can expect to know more about early access by August 20th at the latest, because that's the latest date from Korea for the injunction hearing, as far as I know. It really depends on what happens in Korea. So we should know more about what's going on in the United States sooner than that, and that will be on July 26th. So with that said, I think this case isn't going to take nearly as long as people think. Most cases like this do end up actually settling out of court. According to Cornell law, up to 97% of all federal cases end up settling outside of court. And to add to this, about 80% of all cases that do settle end up settling before discovery is even over. So I think the longest that discovery can really last is until November 21st. So that means that there's an extremely high likelihood, just like simple math, there's an 80% chance that this whole case will be wrapped up and settled by the end of November. So it's like November 21st, regardless of what happens with early access and if it comes out sooner or not. But yeah, I would be greatly surprised if this case actually makes it to trial. The only way that I really see that happening is if IronMace wins out in the injunction hearings and wins out in the appeals process, releases early access, and is just flush with cash. They might try to push the case just on principle, but there will come a point in time where the court case is just going to be more expensive than settling, in which case it's just a financial decision, unless you're really principled and really want to stick it to the man, right? But the smartest thing to do business-wise would be, why risk the trial? Why risk all of the money and just take the settlement, especially when it ends up being the cheaper option? You just take the settlement and walk away, right? Just shut it all down. But yeah, in closing, as always, you guys are champions. Thanks for watching. I love you guys. Thank you for your support. Because of you, I'm only 50 subs away from 1,000. I can't thank you guys enough. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. If you want more content faster, please be sure to join the guild and follow either the YouTube membership or Patreon link below. Yeah, you guys have a wonderful and amazing rest of your day. Peace.